Hello everyone. There it is. Howdy. Welcome back to the Forge of Worlds. Let's get the mic a little closer. So, yeah, I suppose we can probably just get straight into it. Yeah, on Tuesday, we worked on the deities. Coming up with most of the major ones that we've got in the world so far. I might add more, but we'll see about that probably in a later episode. For now, though, what we will move on to is the myths and legends of said deities. Sorry, I got an itchy nose. One note. Here we are. We're in Forza religion. All righty. So, there's a couple places we can go. A couple places we can begin. I think the best place for us to begin will be the beginning of the material plane. So, how about we make... Is this a creation myth? I don't know if it's a creation myth. There might be something older than this, which is the creation of the material in the dream. But it is the separation myth, which is the birth of Tisk as well. So this will be about the old deities. All the old deities. So for now we'll call it separation. No, separation. I always get that wrong. Might change it to something that sounds a bit cooler later. But for now it is called separation. So start with, we figured out that Loth is the one that really... I'm pretty sure we decided that Loth is the one that really started the separation. They're the ones that... The sun was the one that broke it all up. I feel like... Ooh, actually, no, idea. So, the idea of the sun and the moon being partners is always fun and nice. I like it. It's always fun. Idea. Loth wanted to separate the material in the dream. Dune, the moon, didn't want to do that. Often the moon is tied in with the spiritual and dreams and what have you. So I feel like that's a good place to... Good. It adds drama to the myth. It's not just, oh yeah, this happened. It's this happened, and then these things affected because of that. So Loth wanted to separate. Dune did not. I think Ross and Dune probably were on the same level with that. Ross, rain, ocean, sky, and water. I think, because that's also often considered fairly spiritual. And, I don't know, weird. So, Ross and Dune. So wait, separation. One day, while the dream and the material were one and the same, Loth approached the gods asking for their aid. Loth wished to split the world, the universe. Don't know if we'll call it the universe. We'll call it the universe for now. Between material gods and the dreaming gods. The dream... The dream deities... How did the dream deities feel about this? I almost feel like the dream deities should be considered more powerful than the material deities, because there's less of them, and they control their entire plane, which is basically a mirror. And they have an effect on the material plane, which I don't know if the material plane will have an effect on the dream. So I think maybe those ones are more powerful, and maybe they wanted to split because they were like, hey, you guys are basically controlling everything, we want a bit of the pie, we want to have our own bit. Yeah, I like that. And the dreaming gods, as... I haven't decided what the pronouns of any of these deities are. I think I'm... So far, I've basically described Loth as like the head deity. And we've got plenty of dude head deities, so I think I might... Could actually not... I might make most of the old deities neutral, since that way, since they're like ancient ideas, fundamentals of the world from before, not necessarily before, from like, oh yeah, before gender and all that was a thing. And then as time goes on, and then it does become a thing, maybe some of them adopted that. So yeah. So Loth is there. As they felt they were secondary in running the universe to the dreaming deities. Yeah, yes. Dreamers, the dreamers, call them the dreamers. The dreaming ones. We'll capitalize that so that it. Yeah, the dreaming ones agreed to this after some persuasion. Yeah. Dreaming ones agreed to this after some persuasion, as did most of the material deities. Maybe Einsayak didn't agree to that, and that's why there's so many creatures with the spirit of mind, and then Tilactha and Yavoth work through that mind and spirit because of that still. I like that. So most of the deities agreed to this, aside from Einsayak. It's Y-H-O-H-Y, yeah. Einsayak. Dune. Where do you... Dune. And Roth. those who agreed set to work on the separation. Separation. God damn it. While those who opposed this idea met in secret to put a stop, to try and stop this. I just realized Dune is also the deity of history and time. Oh yeah, that's fine. Share some homebrew? Sure, why not? Sounds good. Yes, as met in secret to try and stop this. Are links allowed? I am not entirely sure. Check chat settings. Apparently they are. That is good. So, in secret to try and stop this. As the separation was underway. Cybernatum. That seems neat. I'm flipping between the homebrew and working on it. Modernized version of a lich, alright. Oh, I don't know how the stream's gonna go with me opening Google Docs at the same time. Neat. I might save this just in my bookmarks for now, and I'll get back to that another time once I've actually saved it to Word, so I don't drop the stream quality too bad, and I will get back to that in a moment. Probably next stream, if you'd like. Or, Phalar, if you want to message me on Twitter at Forge of Worlds, I can send you stuff there if you want. We can talk about it in another stream if you wish as well. So, as the separation was underway, the opposing deities... yeah, easy done. So as the separation was underway, the opposing deities began to combine their forces, their force of will, to stop the separation. And as we can probably tell, this doesn't end very well. This caused a cosmic feud, which tore off the main this caused a tear in Loft's being, as they were the ones to what? Lead? Yeah, they were the one to lead be split. From this occurrence, what's their name? Tisk. From this rupture, Tisk merged, finalizing the ending the ritual of the failed separation, leaving a link between the universes. Yeah, that works. Just realized the follow-up goal wasn't there. I've just got it set to 50 because that's what you need for Twitch affiliate, I believe. So I'll just have that up there for people wanting to see it. So yes, leaving a link between the universes, but still separating the deities. So I think I do like the idea of the moon and sun being partners in some way. So maybe this is why the moon and sun are never seen. Well, not never seen in the same sky. Maybe that's why the moon and sun rarely ever come into contact, and this can also explain the cycle of the moon and sun. And then eclipses are something funky, which you can figure out. Loth, devastated by copy the U, Dune's betrayal, ran from them. Yeah. So they're currently running around, and it's like, and that explains, yeah. Ran across the sky. Burning hot with rage and sadness. Becoming the sun. Yeah. Dune followed after. Yeah, Dune followed after. Attempting to gain back the favor of their love. Yeah. Drama. I should probably have a story about them getting married or whatever as well. Might do that. Becoming the moon. It is said that an eclipse is when Dune and Loth embrace. Maybe not embrace. What's a Dune and Love come together on the anniversary of their marriage. That works. Only for them to continue the cycle once it is done. Because obviously time and stuff works different to the deities, and especially because of how long ago it was, so an eclipse lasting 10 minutes is like, that was the day that they were married, and then except just in a different amount of time. So yeah, that's just them chasing each other across the sky, because that's always fun. Yeah. Separation and the birth of Tisk. Need some synonyms for separation. Hold on a moment, let me just look it up. A split synonym. Break, chop, hew. Rupture? Rapture? Rapture could work. Fissure? Fracturing could work. Full definition. The shattering. The shattering works. Hell yeah. Alright, let's change that in the whole thing. Which is split the universe between them and the dreamers. They felt they were secondary in running the universe of the dreaming deities. Most of the deities agreed to this, aside from them. Those who agreed set to work on the separation, while those who opposed this idea met in secret to try and stop this. Because like originally it was just meant to be, oh yeah, we separate and we divide, so it's fine. But then everyone else got involved, and then it became violent and terrible, and that's why it is called the shattering. So as the separation was underway, because it was a separation from this shattering, here we go, no, from this wound, this caused a tear in Loth's being, as they were the one to lead the, yeah, that's a split for now. From this wound, Tisk emerged, ending the ritual of the failed separation. Forever. Wait, shattering? The birth of Tisk. And the birth of Tisk. And the Sun and Moon? Sun. Actually, no. Yeah, and the Sun and Moon. Because it is also the birth of the Sun and Moon. There we go. Forever known as the Shattering. Being a link between the universes, but still separating the deities. And then the question is, why were some of them not interested in it? I feel like Ain Sayak was purely interested because they were like, no, I want to keep controlling the universe. I want it all. What? Don't. I'm not okay with splitting it 50-50. Go away. And then maybe Ross and Ansoyak were both. Maybe Ross and Ansoyak were related in some way. Friends, rivals. Well, no, not rivals. They're working together. Friends, lovers, family members. Figure that out later. For now, I think well, not once it is done. Once they have met again. I feel like the next thing we should work on is... could work on Loth and Dune's marriage story. How they came together. Or we can work on a completely different thing. Maybe we've done something with the old deities. Maybe we can work on one of the new deities. We know about Kaziel, because Kaziel was defined in the weird bits. Haven't done Mask yet. Got some ideas for Torif, Mazis, and Pilef. Some ideas for Benny and Shalette. Wilhef. Wilhef was the gambler. That could be a fun story. Or Isia, deity of history, truth, and whatever, discovered how to harness magic as the first wizard. I feel like the next one will probably be one of those two. One of those two. What do y'all think? Either gambled for divinity or become the first wizard. Could do either of those. If not, if no one answers, I'll probably just roll a dice. How about we roll a dice? Evens is Wilhaf, gambled for divinity. Odds is Isia. 1. That is odd. So that means we're working on Isia. The Great Mage. Where's the apostrophe in Isia? Thinking. While the shattering was fresh in the minds of mortals. Well, actually, I haven't figured out how mortals come around. Because I feel like beings as we know them came about after the shattering. It was like the material plane people were like, I want a bit of space to control, and then I can put my little creatures down in there. So, while beings or mortal creatures were still in the midst of creation. Because I like the idea of stuff happening at different times, like maybe, I don't know, the humans were made before the elves, and then the halflings were made like only a couple thousand or 100 years ago. We'll see. But while the majority of creation was being done, as Isia, an elf? A dwarf. Could make them a dwarf. Something connected to dreams in some way. Actually, I think elves are overdone. Make him a gnome. Yeah, let's make him a gnome. Sia. A gnome by the name of Isia was exploring the world around he, she, or they. Around her. She traveled the material only to find fissure. To stumble across fissures to the world of dreams. So this is like fairly fresh after the shattering. So while that, it's not fresh in the material creatures' minds because they happened afterwards, but like the effects of it are still there. And maybe it still is ever so slightly in current world. But this was when it was like a big thing. So they stumbled across fissures to the world of dreams. They began to experiment with these, run tests, and investigate them. She saw how the fishes affected the... She saw how the fishes affected the world around them, and was curious to try and replicate this. She holed up next to a large fissure and began to study it, and began to work. Over decades, she began to realize the potential of these fishes, figuring out how the connection worked and what possibilities could exist to replicate their effects. She began to experiment. She began to experiment, taking things affected by the fishes and trying to use them to channel its energy. Arcane focuses. And then components could be things which maybe happened which maybe occurred because of the dream. Maybe it's like how the material beings created, like how the material gods created material beings. Maybe the dream deities had some ideas of their own, and either before or during or after the shattering, those ideas became material. Because we do have the deity of ideas, inventions, and dreams, so maybe they came up with the idea of, like, I don't know, feathers for featherfall and what have you. Maybe just the idea of, hey, what if I use this to do this? That connection between the dream, because it's an idea, allowed it to become a material component. Either way, use them to channel its energy. Eventually, she began to unlock the spark. Unlock the fundamentals of magic. Until eventually, she cast a spell. Should we decide what this spell is, or leave that as a mystery? That's a tough one. Let's just separate this a bit more. So eventually she cast a spell. The very first spell ever cast by a wizard. Actually, it could be prestidigitation, because that's just like affecting the world in little funky ways. That might be nice. That might work. Actually, you know what? She cast the spell. What spell this was has been lost to history. Some suggestions from scholars include prestidigitation, minor illusion, mending, some other cantrip, something small. Thaumaturgy? No, I'll figure it out. These are just speculations. And minor illusion. There we go. She continued her studies and eventually taught others this skill. As she expanded her knowledge, she eventually gained enough power and understanding of the nature of magic that she became, that she ascended to godhood at the behest of deity of magic, the behest of Yavoth. Maybe just the universe decided, hey, you're a god now. Yeah, I think so. Eventually leaving the material to live among the deities, leaving the legacy of magical study behind. Why is the music not playing? There we go. Yeah, that works. And then, obviously from this, we know where wild magic sorcerers come from. That being an inherent connection to the dream and the wacky stuff that happens with it. But I think that is the creation of Asia. Asia sees you. So, next up, we're gonna head back to the old deities, figure out Loth and Dune's relationship, or even Ross and Ainsayak, figure out proper pronunciation later. Or we can figure out how Wilhef gambled for their divinity. You know what? I think I want to do Wilhef. What should we call this? The Great Gamble? No, I've already got the Great Mage. That's too great. It's too great. Let's is there a way to I want it to fold in. Oh well. Anywho, done the Great Mage. will have the fortunate. Once most of the deities were settled, no, once most of the, not deities, the material occupants were settled, and towns had begun forming. Larger scale gambling came into fruition, came into existence. Cards were developed. Dice were made from animal bone. Those that wished began to gamble. And play. Wilhef made a living of this, traveling from town to town, gambling for higher and higher stakes. See, this is probably, there might actually be an issue with gambling in some places, as will have set this precedent and was like, hey, you should gamble for more. I managed to get a godhood out of this. You can, I did all this. You can probably get something. And then that's how people lose their fortunes. For higher and higher stakes as he traveled. Is Wilhef a cheat, or is he just lucky? I think he might just be lucky. And he's a he. That happened. Didn't even notice. Wilhef eventually... Ah, no, here we go. This is where the gods come in. Who is it that approaches him? Maybe someone else gambled that... Maybe Mask? Don't really have that many fun deities, do I? Maybe it was one of the dreamers? Maybe it was a dreaming one? Maybe it was Tizk. Yeah, you know what, let's make Tizk fun. Tizk took notice of Wilhef and his... Actually, what should Wilhef be? Maybe Wilhef's a halfling, that's where the halfling luck stuff comes from. Yeah, I like that. Made a living of this. He traveled from town to town, gambling for higher and higher stakes. Tez took notice of Wilhef and his exploits, watching him as he grew. Eventually, once Wilhef had gambled his way to a... could have gotten a noble title. You know what? He gambled his way to a noble title. And he continues gambling the tax money, but he just keeps winning, so they can't complain. It's also risky, but he just seems to have some kind of luck. Actually, no, he didn't gamble to a noble title. That's too much. This needs to be like a big step. Which was he grew? Well, Wilhef was traveling. Tisk took the form of an old blind man. Wilhef, I don't think is a very. I think he's a deity of scoundrels and what have you. So I think he would probably be more than fine with swindling an old blind man out of his money. He is not a good person. Definitely not a good person. And Tisk was like, alright. This guy keeps getting more and more powerful. I think I'm going to see if I can do something about this. Took the form of an old blind man. And asked Wilhef if he had any food to spare. Wilhef Wilhef said that he would give him this food. Give him some food if I feel like he needs to gamble for higher and higher stakes until eventually he gets the godhood. We'll have put forth a wager. If he managed to reach an apple tree up the road before the old blind man, he would give him some food. He thought, hey, it's a good way for me to get out of this situation and what have you. Maybe he actually I don't think he was trying to get anything out of it. He was like, alright, you know what, I'm just gonna try and get out of this situation. How about, and the old blind man isn't letting him leave, so he's like, alright. If I manage to reach that tree before you do, I just walk away, because you're I don't know, this conversation's getting awkward or something. But if you manage to reach the tree before me, you can have some food. Tisk agreed to this wager. Actually, no. I don't think Wilhef put forth this wager. No. Wilhef said he did, but could not give him any. Tisk put forth the wager. That makes more sense. A wager that he could reach an apple tree up the road, he would before him he would get Wilhef's food. It's so annoying writing two characters of the same pronouns in the same sentence because you just keep using the same thing and you don't know who you're talking about. If Wilhef made it first, then they would each go their separate ways. We'll have always one for a wager. Agreed. Thinking it was fun and low stakes and an easy win. When Wilhef reached the tree to find the old man eating an apple, and took Wilhef's food, he began to realize there was something suspicious about this old man. Wilhef became curious and put forth further wagers to try and figure out who the hell this guy was. After how many wagers should we say they had? 6 for a 6-sided die? That works. After the 6th wager, we'll have realized that this old man was not an old man at all, and must be a deity or other powerful being. As he exclaimed, I feel like this is a good place to create a neat turn of phrase. Like, instead of saying, "Oh, you're a cheater," they'd say, "You're a deity," or something like that. We'll work on it, but I think there's something there. You hold the power of no man. You hold the power of no mortal. That works. It's like someone just keeps rolling, just playing a dice game and someone just keeps rolling 7s. You're like, hey, you hold the power of no mortal. Except it's in another language, so it sounds less cheesy. At which point, Tizk revealed themselves. Despite his bafflement, Wilhef had an idea. He said that if he put forth a final wager, what should this wager be? Could be dice or cards, stones, bones, sticks. Could be a stick. Maybe they carve. Maybe a common gambling tool is a stick with 7 sides to represent each of the wages. Yeah, to put forth each of the wages that Wilhef and Tisk had. So there's 7 wages. The 7 wages of Wilhef the Fortunate. If he could roll a dice. So originally they would have used like 6-sided dice or whatever they had on them. Honestly, it could be whatever. If he could roll a dice and land on... If you could roll 2 dice, land on the highest number for each. Tisk would grant him godhood. If it was anything else, Wilhef would... If it was anything else, Wilhef would act as Tisk's servant for all time. Tisk initially declined this, saying there was plenty that worshipped them. Then Wilhef said that if he lost, he would... How do you... I feel like I needed to characterize Tisk a bit more so that I could figure out what would get Tisk to allow this. Hello. Hello, Rogel. Yes, you're very late. I've already written 2 myths. Yes, currently we're working on the 7 wages of Wilhef the Fortunate, the one that gambled for his divinity. And I'm trying to figure out what exactly Wilhef put up that... Actually, no. This is a word trick. Tisk would grant him any boon he asks if it was anything else. Tisk would... Yeah, there we go. If it was anything else, Tisk would... No. He would become a saint of Tisk. Doing whatever he asked for all eternity. Not a saint, a worshipper, a follower. I feel like follower is too general. Priest of Tisk. There we go. For all eternity. Tisk agreed to this. Then Wilhef said that Tisk was not allowed to use any chosen. And I feel like that would imply too much power. Like he wouldn't be chosen by Tisk. He'd just be like a follower trying to spread his word for dedicating his life to that. I feel like chosen means like you were plucked out from a flock. Any of the... whatever they asked. It was he while they were an old blind man. A hobo of Tizk. Wonder apple. Well, I mean, that is exactly what's going on here. Any of their powers. Tizk begrudgingly. I agreed. As they originally intended on rigging the game. Because Tizk is that kind of person. Tizk would rig the game, unless told otherwise. The dice were rolled. I feel like this needs to be more dramatic than just the dice rolled and he got divinity. How do I make this more dramatic? It's like... No. No, Tizk offered their own dice. Which... Ah, here we go. Which Wilhef took. As he pulled back to roll the dice, he swapped them for his own, which were loaded. Dice rolled, and Tizk actually no, here we go. Tizk offered their own dice, which Wilhef took. Tizk offered their own dice, which were loaded to be whatever Tizk said they would be. Which Wilhef took. Not there, they would be. As he pulled back to roll the dice, he swapped them for his own, which were loaded in his favor. And Tizk, the dice were rolled, and yeah. How should I word this? I need to word this dramatically. The dice were rolled. Tizk fell back in shock to see the dice were not what they wished to be rolled. Instead, was in Wilhef's favor. There we go. Tizk recognized what had happened, but did not. But also recognized that the conditions were met. So they both intended to cheat. But Wilhef managed to get the upper hand. Tizk recognized what had happened, and now humbled, said that he would grant Will have his boon. Oh, it said that. Oh, god damn it. So they would grant Will have his boon. Will have asked for Tizk's power to become a god. Which Tizk, unable to... oh, streaming machine for games. Awesome. Which Tizk, unable to decline after giving their word, agreed to. And such will have the swindler became a deity. And I think that's good for now. These I can definitely flesh out more, especially after a bit more after we characterize the deities a bit more. But I think as a basis that should be good. And it is 6:07, so I believe that this is where we shall end it tonight. Thank you all for coming, even if it was at the very end. If you want to see the other stuff here, I will be uploading it to YouTube soon. YouTube is Forge of Worlds. If you want to see when I'm streaming, you can follow me on Twitter at Forge of Worlds, which is where I put up stream announcements. And if you want to have any questions, feel free to ask them there as well. Yes, I'm sorry, Paraffin. You just came so late. You can ask me what the other ones are. Love you too, Roy Sharp. But yes, you can ask me what the other ones are, and I can even just send them to you. Alright. So without further ado, catch you later.